Well, hey everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome to my stream. Welcome to another chapter working on this guy here. That's our Cylon Raider by Revell. It's a 30th anniversary edition. We'll run that intro, we'll get started. I've been working on masking this thing off and getting ready for the black paint that we're going to be doing. Particularly if you look at that picture, you've got the black stripe going down the wing and then of course black on the canopy. So I'll show you what I've been doing. So we've got this, I've got the canopy masked off, so that's ready, and I started with the one stripe that's going to go down the wing, okay, on this side. Now normally I don't bother showing you guys my masking process. Somebody pointed out to me that maybe it would be beneficial just to show the way I mask and how it's done, just for maybe somebody who hasn't done it before, or they're just wondering if there's a special technique or anything. There really isn't any special technique, but I'm going to bore you guys a lot and show you how I mask off this other stripe and get ready to paint, okay? So that's what we're going to do today, masking. So what I've done is the kit comes with some decals, and the decals would be what goes on right there on the wing. So what I did is I cut them out because I don't want to use decals. I want to actually paint the stripe on, just simply because there's detail that the decal would have to lay down over, and the decal would probably wrinkle and not look all that great. It probably wouldn't sink down enough to make it look realistic. So with that in mind, I want to paint it, but I want to have it exactly the way it's supposed to. So I trimmed out the decals just exactly how they're supposed to be, and I taped it down there in a spot, and then I ran my Tamiya. This particular tape by Tamiya is for curved edges, so it allows me to curve it and without any weird wrinkles going on. So that being said, we're going to start on this side. I'm going to change the camera so you can get a good look at exactly what I'm doing, how I do it, all that fun stuff. Okay, let's do this. All right, and I'm going to change my glasses just so I can see. All right, so I have two decals. One is left and one is right, obviously, just like this. So I'm actually going to use the one for this side, but I'm going to flip it over. Okay? No, I'm not. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the correct one on this side, and it's going to go right here. Now I've got a few little pieces of masking tape that I've already cut out to help guide me in exactly where this is supposed to go, because you see, if you put it in one spot too close, it doesn't go all the way to the edge. So you need to find that sweet spot where it's going to be exactly right there and right there on both edges. And alternatively, you could measure from here to here and line it up like that. Okay, you could measure from this tip to where this tape is and get a good measure so it's exactly the same. I don't think that's really necessary. We can just eyeball it and get a good idea of where it's supposed to be. Kind of like that. And what I'll do is I'll hold it there. I'll grab a little piece of tape. Go. Grab a piece of tape, and that's a little marker for where that needs to go. Okay? And I'll do it at the back. Just line this up again. The exact spot it needs to be, right there. And there's a little marker right there. Exactly where my masking needs to go. Okay. Now that I have that, I can put a marker here. I actually don't need it. What I need to do now is tape this thing down. Got to tape it into place. And I got to be careful of my coffee because I keep bumping my coffee. It's now the second time I've bumped my coffee. I don't want to spill it. Okay, so let's grab a bigger piece of tape. This is where I want to put the other decal on, because I don't want to mask on this part. So I'm going to flip it over. And of course, flipping it over makes it exactly the same, right? Just like that, because they are two decals of the same thing. So I'm going to do this. Actually, I am going to trim this the way it's supposed to be. This will help me get this exactly in the right spot. Just like that. Okay. So let's put this back here and back here. Just like that. Okay. Now I'm going to tape it. Put a couple of pieces of tape just so that it stays stuck down in the spot it's supposed to be. And now we're going to get this stuff. Get a length, roughly the length that we need. Trim this off. And now that this is taped down, we can remove our little markers. Okay. And we'll get our first little section here. Just like that. Okay. And now we're going to work our way along. Right beside the decal. Okay, you don't want to pull too hard, you don't want to stretch it. Okay, you don't want to stretch the tape. And then when we get to a point where a piece where it's got some raised detail, I'm going to make sure I get in there with my fingernail and then kind of pull it a little bit so we can get that extra. So it goes down into the recesses here without stretching the tape, because if you pull it tight and then try and push it down into these areas, what's going to happen is the tape is going to lift out of them, and we don't want that. We don't want it lifting out. So the challenge on this is getting over these two bumpy things, these little guys. They're right here. And so these are a little bit tricky because the tape being sticky wants to stick. And we're going to go over it and get down in there and then go over again and down in there. And see, as soon as I did that, it lifted out of here. We don't want that. There we go. Okay, let's continue on. Down, follow that curve, and there we go. I didn't quite go straight, and that's the nice thing about this stuff. There we go. There we go. So there's one done. Now I'll just take that, fold it over, trim it off a little bit here. And so that's that one, okay? So take our excess, put it aside. Now we got to deal with this side. So that means I'm going to take this off and I'm going to put it up here. I'll take this one off, put it here. And then this one, he comes off too. Now because I have these, I don't really need the one in the middle, but I'm just for the sake of making sure everything's gonna stay put, I'll do that. So now we'll grab another length. Again, roughly the length of the wing, or pretty close anyway. Trim that off. I need to do something quick here. There we go. Okay. Again, we'll start on the tip here. That's a good start. Push it down, make sure it's going to stay. Like I said, I'm not really stretching it. I don't want to stretch the tape, because what's going to happen is if you stretch it like crazy, then what happens is it's going to fight you. It's going to want to go back and conform to where it was before you stretched it. And you're going to have a very small window of opportunity to do what you want before the tape just basically goes back to where it was. We're almost there. Again, I'm just using my fingernail to make sure it goes up and over all the details. And I'll get in there a little bit better once we got it laid down a little bit here. And that's about perfect, just like that. Okay, so fold this edge over, fold this edge over. Now we can remove our decal template. Now you can see why I put the tape on this side, so it just rips up a little bit of the paper, and that's it. And there we go. Now what I want to do is make sure both stripes look the same. This one looks like it's getting a little fat right here and then suddenly goes skinny, where this one's a lot more of a straight line. See, even where I did there, I don't know if you can see on the camera, I got a little bit of tape just starting to lift right in between here. So before I paint, I need to make sure I've pushed that down and made that stick. Sometimes what you can do is you can just kind of get in there with your X-Acto knife and just kind of do that. And sometimes the blade will put a little bit of a cut in the tape, but not enough to make it bleed. Right? Gotta just go in there on each raised detail like that. And we've got just a little bit going over this guy here. Anytime the tape is going to lift, that's potential for bleeding, and you don't want bleeding. So this one is totally lifted up here. This one I think I'm going to have to remask. So I'm going to actually cut the tape here. Let it cut. Because these guys need to be retaped. So I'm actually going to remove that. So they're not cooperating. So off you go. You don't want to play nice? Then say bye-bye. Redo you guys in a minute. What I'll do is I'll just put another layer down over top. These I'm going to make sure. This is a little bit of a tricky spot. That stripe goes right over this particular raised detail here. And so we've got, it's raised and then it goes back down. Yeah. So there we go. There we go. I think we're back in business with this being stuck down again. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's work on this side we just did. This is good right up to here. So let's do this. Again, we've got this right in here. Same thing as the other side. And then we've got these guys. And these guys are kind of funny looking, in that they don't look straight. Looks like I've gone a little bit crooked on there. So once again, I'm going to cut this. And we're going to do these guys all on their own.
Yep.
Just like the other side. They're going to be their own little special piece. Okay, let's do this. 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 There. This one. This one. Okay. The other thing that makes this a little bit difficult is we have raised detail here on this wing, but we don't have it in the same spot over here. Over on this wing, it's down here. So that's the thing that makes it a little bit hard to make sure you're getting everything in the same spot. This stripe looks like it's way further over than this one. Almost like we've got a full stripe's width. Like this. Right here. But then you come over to that same spot on this side and nope. See what I mean? So we're going to change things up. Let's get this off of here. I want continuity. I want it to be the same. So, do this. We're going to put this here. As a new guide for my width and how it should be. This looks like it should be just a little bit further down. It does come up. Yes, very subtly. Like that. And then down here we start to curve. Like that. Let's just try and match. We want it to match the curve of the actual thing. That's pretty good. Yeah, really. Not quite enough. Although I've got it about the same over there. To match, I'm going to use this same stripe. If we're matching there, then we need to come down like this. There we go. Now I need to move this one. Let's just make sure this is nice and pressed down. Okay. It also means I need to redo this one. starting at about here. So let's grab my excess from underneath. Oops. That's the problem with cutting it. I'm going to have to put a new strip down completely because I can't reuse these. So we're going to tape this back down into place like this. Give it a tape. And we've got another strip. It looks like I'm going to have to redo all of this. Well, most of it anyway. So now you guys get an idea of why I don't really show you guys the masking process, because I run into these little issues and yeah, it's not really fun to, it's not something everybody wants to watch, right? So let's start with a couple of new strips. This time we're going to go about this long. And let's make sure. Getting it to that subtle little curve is a little hard, but that's okay. So even just looking at this side, it's definitely, I don't have it lined up properly. Getting it to go on the same side, on the same spot. Pretty good. Okay, we're getting rid of this. Gotta get it down into those little crevices. There we go. And this is where I'm just going to cut it here. Simply because I'm going to put a whole different couple of pieces to cover these guys up. There we go. Okay, that's our new inner stripe, like that. Okay, that's that one. Now for the other side. Let's line this up. Okay, I need another piece of tape. Line this up. There we go. Okay, whole new strip. Of course, I forgot to set my timer. I always set a timer so I can keep track of how long my videos are. But today I forgot my timer. That looks pretty good. Let's take this off and see how it compares. It doesn't compare. I mean, at first glance it looks okay, but this is definitely narrower than this is. This is coming to a, yeah, that comes to a little bit of a like this. This seems to be really comes in like that. I don't like that. Though it is the same. So close. It might just be my eyes tricking me. Let's get this pressed down. Okay, you get in there. Get in there. Okay. Okay, now for our little humps. Now, something I've noticed, the vinyl tape just doesn't have the same kind of stickiness. So I'm going to use regular masking tape. The regular masking tape just seems, yeah, really, it just seems to have the stickiness you need. What it doesn't have is the bendability, as it wants to fold. But you can convince it to go where you need fairly easily. And it'll stay. And so that's why I'm using regular masking tape for that section. So it'll go down into this crevice and will stick there. Even if I don't have it lined up. So let's get this to line up. There we go. After all, the stripe's going to line up, right? Okay, that's done. Now we can work on some wider strips of tape to mask this off. We don't need this on here. That's kind of cool. I just flung that onto my finger. Okay, let's mask this off because you know we're going to have overspray, and we have to stop the overspray. So I like to start with thinner stuff. Just do some strips like this. And I just realized I masked the wrong side. I did that on both sides. I masked the wrong side. So let's pull this up and use fresh pieces. Because, oops, I did the wrong side. You see how I push that against that edge there to get that to stay down? And then do that on here too. Ideally, you hold this side down like this. Hold that down while you press this one in. You get the proper edge on it that you need. Pull this up like this. There we go. Put that down like that. There we go. Okay. Once again, I got to make sure these edges are pushed down in here before I paint. This is all very important. Otherwise, I'm going to get some bleeding through, and that's not good. We don't want that. Okay. When you get a curved edge like this, and you're doing your masking with a straight piece, what I like to do is as I get to this, what's going to come over, so I just kind of fold it down a little bit like that, and make a fold. And even though this isn't as important, I still want to put the masking tape down over the crevices and over the details like this. It's not as important because you're not doing it across a line like that. This is just to prevent overspray, right? And so, just doing this. There we go. So now I can use wider tape on that. Same here. Let's go over to this side. Let's get a fresh piece for this. Line that up on there. Get it into that crevice. Do that here. Use my fingernail to kind of guide it as it goes over that edge. should be good enough to cover our piece. Just like that. Okay. Almost ready, guys. There we go. All right. So now I'll get some wider stuff. Use my wider tape. Actually, I'm not going to use my wide. Not this one. This one we can use down here. Cover up the front. And I'll use my super wide stuff for the rest. This stuff here. And I'll turn on my air compressor. Hopefully I don't have any issues like I did last time, where every time the compressor would fire up, was some kind of interference with my speakers. And that was not fun. Didn't enjoy that at all. Go. Let's make sure I get enough masked around the nose. Now, some guys will tell you, make sure you don't even leave that little spot, right? Because even though you're not painting anywhere near that, you could still get overspray and not even realize it. And I have to agree with those guys. I have spray painted and figured I've definitely got enough masked off for overspray, and then come back later and notice you can actually see a definitive line where the masking tape was, and somehow, some way, I had overspray like way off where it shouldn't have been. I masked these guys off a day or so ago, and now the tape is coming loose, come off a little bit. I started masking these and trying to get into all the little nooks and crannies with the masking tape, and then I kind of gave up. I was like, you know what, I'll just touch it up later. What's they say, the juice was not worth the squeeze in trying to mask it off perfectly. All right. So I got the stuff stuck to this. this under a little bit. Just to help it out a little bit. All right, I think I have it masked enough, except when I go to spray under at this angle and I hit it like this and I go to spray at this direction like that, I have the potential to get overspray going all over the top of this. I do not want that, okay? So we want to prevent that. So I'm going to add another piece of tape here. And then I'm going to grab this and do that. And I'll tape that down. And that'll use a little less tape. But at the same time, offer the properties of masking it. Without having to use up a whole bunch of masking tape. All right, that's pretty good. Now the air compressor is ready to go. So now all I need to do is get some paint and put it in my airbrush. Before I paint, I actually push these down yet again and then paint. Now, unfortunately, I don't have my painting camera set up, so you're basically going to see me over here doing this. And then, now, what am I going to use paint? What am I going to use for paint? I'm going to use this stuff. Mr. Surfacer 1500 Black. So let's just mix this up. Okay, and I'm going to mix this with some Mr. Color Leveling Thinner. This stuff here. We're going to mix it with this. Okay. I want a roughly 50-50 mix. I happen to have another project that I'm going to be doing at the same time as this. A couple of handgun stands that I 3D printed, so I need to paint these. I need to prime them black and yeah, get these ready for somebody who's actually buying these off of me. Anyway. Don't need my scissors anymore. Let's clean up my little work area here a little bit. Okay, need my paper towel. There we go, that's lots. It might be a little thin. I don't want it so thin that it doesn't cover, you know what I mean? You want it thin, definitely. You want it really thin. But you don't want it so thin that you get no coverage. And then you wind up having to spend double the amount of time just going coat after coat after coat after coat. It's a little ridiculous. Okay, I'm going to change airbrushes here. I don't need to use my 0.5 millimeter nozzle. I'll use my 0.2 or 0.3. Okay, let's fill up our cup. I'll change my camera to my other one so you can see a little bit better. Maybe I can change this window size so you can see a little bit what I'm doing. There we go. You can see the table back there. I'll get my coffee out of the way. I don't want my coffee getting overspray. Okay, and I have my table upside down here, or at least my painting thing. There we go. Let's get the painting side facing up. There we go. Okay, I'm going to start with the center, with the canopy, the window. And let's get this going. Yeah, it's doing that speaker thing again. Sorry guys, that's terrible. I'm going to turn this off. Turn around and get the other angle. That about does it for the canopy. The canopy's done now. So now let's do our stripes. First thing, it's down. First things first, let's make sure my tape is in the grooves. And everything is going to stay and I'm not going to get any bleeding. So I'm just going to make sure my fingernail just press down into those little grooves before we paint. Now we're good, and you do it quick. one stripe done. Now, before we do the other one, once again, make sure all my little pieces of tape, because already it's only been, what, 5 minutes, and the tape has lifted out of these little crevices. So, need to make sure they're all in there before I paint. That's going to be about it for that side. I think that's all we need to do. I think that is done. Looks like my canopy needs a little bit more work, so I'm just going to do a little more. Okay. That is it. Now, like I mentioned before, I have another project that I'm doing at the same time. So, I'm just going to leave that for a minute because I got to do the project next, right? The project is going to be next. But with this done, we can remove our mask and see how our masking did. See our results. Okay? So let's do that. Let's do this side first, since it's already had a couple minutes to dry. One thing that is a little bit disappointing is the fact that, you know, I do have, you guys saw I put silver paint down first and then I put the gray color, and I'm finding that in some spots the masking tape is pulling up a bit of this gray and revealing the silver underneath. That's a little bit disappointing. It's not the end of the world, but it's disappointing nonetheless, because, well, you want each coat to be a nice solid coat that doesn't lift. It looks like I've got almost no bleed through these parts. That is really nice. On this side, that is really nice. That's encouraging. We'll see how this side did. Off. Looks pretty good. I'll change the camera in a minute once I get the masking tape removed. I'll change the camera so you guys can see the results. This area has a whole bunch of different little spots of paint or tape. Lots of little bits of tape I used on this area here. And I already know I'm going to have some touching up to do on the black and on the gray. So I use lots of little bits here around the edge. Something I could not determine, I was trying to find online whether to paint the very front of this gray or black, whether to leave it the gray or to actually paint it black. I could not determine online. You know, it's really hard to find just original photos of the Battlestar Galactica series. When you search for Cylon Raider, you Google Cylon Raider original, all you get, I mean 99% of the search results are guys building this kit. And that's it. You know, and I want to see like original pictures of the original ship, like pictures from the show, you know. Stripes down, and then these ones. And I've got all my little, I put little tiny triangles of tape on here. Each one of these little louvers. And after doing these ones, I thought, you know what, I will brush paint the inner ones. Just cutting off little triangles to put them on here was just becoming a little too taxing for the level of detail that it's offering. So I decided, you know what, I'll just brush paint the detail in. Get off of my tweezers. So, yeah. It just was becoming not worth it. So with that, you can see, change the camera again. Here we have it, our Cylon Raider. Now I've got a little bit of touching up to do in here. I'm going to do that with the brush along our little ridges here. I'll do some little bit of brush painting and touch those up, those edges there. The nice thing is with this, I have, you know, just Mr. Surfacer Black and Mr. Surfacer Gray. That's going to be a perfect match. I'm happy I didn't really get any bleeding through here on all these little details, the raised parts, so that's good. That worked out great. As you might be able to tell with the right angle, you might be able to see where some of the silver is pulled up, some of the gray pulled up with the silver. Maybe the camera's not going to show it. Let's see it through here. The silver is shiny, but that's kind of the idea. We wanted that, right? That's the whole point of putting the silver down first. And then on this wing, we've got very, very slight little bleed through right there. It's just extremely subtle. I think it's good enough. I don't have to worry about that. So there we go. We have our Cylon Raider with the black done. The actual symbols, I'm going to put the decals on. We'll do that off camera. And that's that. So guys, I wanted to show you guys my actual masking process for painting. And because like I said, I normally don't do that. You guys know that. You guys who watch my channel, you know I haven't really shown you guys my masking process. And again, it's a long process. It takes time. The more intricate the pattern, the more tape you need, the longer it takes, right? That's just the way, that's the nature of the game. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and thanks for sticking with me through this. Thank you for the new subscribers. I really appreciate it, guys. I could use more though, and we always want more subscribers, right? That's the way this game goes. Anyway, guys, I want to thank you so much for watching, and yeah, we're gonna do a little bit of weathering next time. I'm gonna do a clear coat over this, of course, after I touch up my canopy, and that's gonna be working towards the next episode. So thanks again, guys, for watching. Thanks for coming out, and we'll see you all in the next one.